The narrow dirt road leading into Omewi Village was eerily quiet, shrouded in an unsettling stillness. Nneoma stared out the window of the rusted bus as it jolted over potholes, her mind swimming with memories of the last time she had been here. It had been nearly a decade since her mother's funeral, and she'd vowed never to return. But the string of mysterious deaths that had plagued the village for months demanded answers, and as a journalist, she couldn't ignore the story. The bus came to a screeching halt in the village square, where a small group of villagers huddled around a makeshift market. Nneoma stepped out, her suitcase in hand, and was immediately met with wary glances. Omewi hadn't changed much. The same mud huts with thatched roofs, the same towering Iroko tree casting long shadows over the square. "Ah, Nneoma, the city girl has returned," an old woman croaked from her stall, her voice laced with suspicion. "Good afternoon, Mama," Nneoma replied, forcing a smile. She felt their eyes follow her as she made her way toward her late mother's house, a small bungalow now overrun with weeds. Inside, the air was thick with dust and memories. As she cleaned, her aunt, Mama Ijak, arrived with a bowl of steaming yam porridge. "Nneoma, you shouldn't have come back," she said bluntly, setting the bowl on the table. "Why not?" Nneoma asked, sitting across from her. "The curse," Mama Ijak whispered, her eyes darting to the door. "Ever since the elders broke the sacred oath, people have been dying. They say it's the ancestors' wrath." Nneoma raised an eyebrow. "A curse? That's what they're saying." Mama Ijak leaned closer. "This isn't a joke, Nneoma. Your mother knew something about that oath. Maybe that's why." Her voice trailed off. Nneoma felt a chill run down her spine. Her mother had never spoken of an oath, but something about the way Mama Ijak spoke made her wonder if her family's past was tied to the deaths. Outside, the wind howled, carrying with it a sense of foreboding. Nneoma knew she'd come for answers, but she was beginning to fear what she might uncover. The following morning, Nneoma set out to gather information. Armed with a notepad and recorder, she wandered through the village, stopping to talk to anyone willing to speak. Most avoided her questions, their eyes darting nervously as if they feared being overheard. Others dismissed her outright, muttering about city people meddling in things they didn't understand. Frustrated, Nneoma decided to visit the village shrine. It was said to be the heart of Omewi, a spiritual life, a place where the elders once made decisions under the watchful eyes of the gods. The shrine was now abandoned, overrun by weeds and cobwebs, but the air around it felt charged with an unseen energy. As she approached, she spotted an elderly man sitting by the shrine, carving a piece of wood. He looked up, his face a map of wrinkles and wisdom. "Nneoma, daughter of Ozioma," he said, his voice heavy with age. She froze. "You know me? I knew your mother," he replied, gesturing for her to sit. She was a strong woman, but even she couldn't escape the weight of the oath. "What oath?" Nneoma asked, her voice trembling slightly. The man sighed deeply. "Many years ago, the elders of this village made a pact with the gods to ensure prosperity. But prosperity comes at a price. They promised to honor the gods with annual sacrifices. For years, they obeyed, and Omewi thrived. But greed and pride crept in. They stopped the sacrifices, thinking the gods had forgotten, and now the gods are angry." Nneoma asked skeptically. The man's eyes darkened. "The curse doesn't come from the gods. It comes from within. Secrets buried too deep, wrongs left unpunished. Your mother tried to uncover the truth, but it cost her her life." Nneoma's breath hitched. "Are you saying my mother's death wasn't natural?" The man leaned closer, his voice barely a whisper. "Find the truth, but tread carefully. The same people who silenced her will come for you." Nneoma left the shrine with a mixture of fear and determination. The villagers weren't just hiding secrets, they were hiding something dangerous. Nneoma couldn't shake the old man's words as she walked back to her mother's house. The air felt heavier, the shadows of the towering Iroko trees seeming to stretch toward her. She replayed his warning in her mind. The same people who silenced her will come for you. That evening, as the village settled into its usual quiet, Nneoma sat at her mother's dusty desk. Among the clutter of old papers and trinkets, she found a worn notebook. Its pages were filled with her mother's elegant handwriting. Flipping through it, she noticed strange symbols and coded notes. One entry caught her eye. The council betrayed the pact. A life was taken as payment, but it wasn't enough. The truth must come to light. Nneoma's hands shook. What life had been taken? Could this be tied to the curse? She stuffed the notebook into her bag, determined to follow the breadcrumbs her mother had left behind. The next morning, she visited Mama Ijak, hoping her aunt might shed more light on the situation. The older woman's face darkened as Nneoma showed her the notebook. Ozioma was digging where she shouldn't have, Mama Ijak said in a hushed tone. She wanted to expose the elders, but they were too powerful. What did they do? Nneoma pressed. Mama Ejike hesitated, her eyes darting to the window. Your mother found out they used human lives to seal the pact with the gods, sacrifices, and when they broke the oath, the curse wasn't just punishment, it was justice. The word sent a chill through Nneoma. Who did they sacrifice? Mama Ejike looked away. Your grandfather. He was the first. After that, the killings continued in secret. Anyone who got too close to the truth disappeared. A sudden knock at the door startled them both. Nneoma froze, clutching the notebook. Mama Ejike whispered urgently, hide that book. They're watching you now. As the knocking grew louder, Nneoma's determination hardened. She had to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The knocking at the door became insistent, each rap sending jolts through Nneoma's chest. She shoved the notebook into her bag, her fingers trembling as she hid it beneath a pile of old clothes. Mama Ejike opened the door cautiously, revealing two men standing in the dim light. They were tall, their faces shadowed under wide-brimmed hats. Their presence oozed authority and menace. We heard someone's been asking questions, one of them said, his voice cold and measured. The council doesn't take kindly to outsiders meddling in our affairs. Mama Ejike blocked their view of the room with her frame. She's just a child returning to bury her memories. Leave her alone. The taller man leaned forward, his piercing eyes meeting Nneoma's through the narrow opening. Curiosity can be dangerous. Stay out of what doesn't concern you. With that, they turned and left, their footsteps fading into the night. Mama Ejike bolted the door, her hands shaking. You have to leave, Nneoma, tonight. They won't warn you twice. But Nneoma's fear had turned to fury. No, Auntie, I won't run. They killed my grandfather. They killed my mother. They think they can silence me too. They're wrong. Mama Ejike sighed deeply. Then you must be ready for what's to come. Go to the edge of the village. There's an abandoned hut near the forest. You'll find someone who can help you. Nneoma slipped out under the cover of darkness, her bag clutched tightly to her chest. The village was eerily quiet, the air thick with anticipation. She followed Mama Ejike's directions, her heart racing with every step. When she reached the hut, an old woman sat outside, her eyes glowing like embers in the moonlight. I've been waiting for you, Nneoma, she said, her voice raspy but calm. How do you know my name? Nneoma asked, startled. The woman smiled faintly. Your mother and I were friends. She told me this day would come. If you want the truth, you must be willing to confront the darkness within this village, and within yourself. Nneoma nodded, her resolve solidifying. Whatever secrets Omewi held, she would uncover them. The old woman beckoned Nneoma inside the hut, where the dim glow of a single lantern illuminated walls, lined with strange carvings. Your mother left something with me, she said, retrieving a small, weathered box from a hidden compartment. Nneoma opened it carefully, revealing an old photograph and a folded piece of parchment. The photo showed a group of men standing by the shrine elders, proud and defiant. In the corner of the image, a young woman stood, her face partially obscured. It was her mother. The council betrayed the gods, the old woman began, but Nneoma uncovered their greatest sin. They didn't just stop the sacrifices, they began using the curse to control the village. Every death was orchestrated, every tragedy a warning to keep the villagers submissive. Nneoma unfolded the parchment, revealing the original oath written in ancient Igbo script. At the bottom were the signatures of the elders, including her grandfather's. They sacrificed your grandfather to seal their pact with the gods. The old woman continued. When the gods withdrew their favor, the council turned to darker forces. They're the ones killing people, not the gods. Nneoma felt her breath quicken. How do I stop them? The old woman handed her a small, carved figurine. This is the key. It was taken from the shrine when the pact was broken. Return it, and the truth will be revealed. As Nneoma left the hut, the wind howled, carrying with it the cries of the ancestors. She made her way to the shrine, clutching the figurine. The night was heavy with silence, but she felt the weight of unseen eyes. At the shrine, she placed the figurine on the altar. The ground trembled, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly hum. Ghostly figures emerged, their faces twisted with sorrow and rage. The spirits of the ancestors surrounded her, their voices overlapping. The truth will set the village free, but blood must atone for blood. Before Nneoma could respond, the council elders arrived, their faces pale with fear. The spirits turned to them, their wrath unleashed. By morning, the village was silent, the curse lifted. The council was gone, their secrets buried with them. Nneoma returned home, determined to tell the world the story of Omewi, a village haunted not by gods, but by the darkness of men.